Mike. And we'll now read. The Yorkshire Council acknowledges the Ballardong people of the Noongar Nation, who are the traditional owners of the country where this meeting is being held, and we recognise their continuing connection to land, water, sky and culture. We pay our respects to all these people and their elders, past, present and emerging. Now, in accordance with Regulation 14L and 14J of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, notice is given that this meeting is being video and audio recorded to facilitate community participation and for minute-taking purposes. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their image and voice may be recorded. Audio recordings are published on the Shire's website following the meeting and may be released upon request to third parties. Members of the public are reminded that in accordance with Section 6.16 or 6.16 of the Shire of York Local Government Council Meetings Local Law 2016, nobody shall use any visual or vocal recording device or instrument to record the proceedings of the council without the written permission of the presiding member. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda documents and advise members of the public that any decision made at the council meeting tonight may be revoked in accordance with Regulation 10 of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the Shire has been received. Any plans or documents in agendas and minutes may be subject to copyright. The express permission of the copyright owner must be obtained before copying any copyrighted material. There's no change to standing orders. We have no visitors. Declarations of proximity interest? Nil. Declarations of financial interest? Nil. Disclosure of impartiality interest? Nil. Attendance at the meeting is myself, Councillor Kevin Trent, Shire President, Councillor Dennis Warnick, Deputy Shire President, Councillor Chris Gibbs and Councillor Denise Smythe. Staff is Alina Bean, Acting CEO, Ms Rebecca Palumbo, Acting Executive Manager, Corporate and Community Services, and Vanessa Green, our Council and Executive Support Officer. Tonight we have apologies from Councillor Pike and Councillor Wright, and also the CEO, Mr Chris Linnell, who's on leave from the 10th of March to the 7th of July inclusive, and Mr Lyndon Miller, who is our Executive Manager, Infrastructure and Development Services. There's no leave previously approved, and we have 8 people in the gallery at the commencement of the meeting. 9. Someone's crept in. Better change that. Thank you. Now, questions from previous meetings. Now, just at this point, I'll read out a statement. This relates to public question time. Public question time will be limited to 15 minutes. However, Council may exercise its discretion to extend the time by resolution if required. Questions may be asked at an ordinary Council meeting and or any committee meeting on any matter affecting Council and the Council's operations. Questions submitted to a special meeting are restricted to the subject matter and the purpose of that meeting. To enable everyone who wishes to ask questions the opportunity, each questioner will be limited to 2 questions. There may be an opportunity to ask more questions if time allows. Statements or long preambles are not permitted. Priority will be given to questions on matters about the agenda for the meeting. the 7th point, questions containing offensive remarks, reference to personal affairs or actions of the elected members or staff, or which relate to confidential matters or legal actions will not be accepted. Point 8. Questions the presiding member considers have been answered by earlier questions at the meeting or earlier meetings may not be accepted. There will be no debate on the answers provided to those questions. So just to clarify that, and if we could now go on to our first question from Jane Fero. This is in response to questions she'd posed at a previous meeting, I understand. Is there a way for the community to file a vote of no confidence in either council or individual councillors if no responsible answers have been provided to questions at public question time, which has been prevalent in the previous two OCMs, when questions have been raised about the Port Hedland motions that many in our community would like to support? The response to that question: advice from the West Australian Local Government Association was sought to address your questions. The advice received states that there is no mechanism for a no confidence motion under the Local Government Act 1995. Councillors moving or supporting a no confidence motion may be in breach of a code of conduct. Consider clause 9D or 18B amongst others. There is no mechanism for the community to move a motion at a council meeting. If it was an elected meeting, the electors could pass a motion, but the council may choose to simply note the motion and its subsequent meeting if a position on the matter has already been resolved by council or noting the above mentioned breaches. Community members may exercise their democratic rights by voting in the local government elections to be held in October 2025. Alternatively, you may, if you have serious concerns that you do not feel are being addressed, you can raise the matter with the Department of Local Government. And Jane's second question was, how do we pursue receiving considered answers to our questions when they are not provided at the council meeting, or take on notice and we are told that we can't question and answer given even if it doesn't address our expressed concerns. My response: if a matter has been considered and is a formal position resolved, Council is under no obligation to continuously address the same question or related matters time and time again. For example, Council may have already resolved a position on the Town of Port Hedland motions and any community concerns in relation to the COVID vaccines via a majority vote. Mr Sparrow asked a question: were any of our current council elected representatives, councillors, aware of the March 5th decision to and including any election day on March 8th? If so, who and why? And if not, certainly regarding our current loss of the full complement of elected representatives, councillors, why not? The response: Council of Shire of York has given the deadline of the 12th of March 2025 to decide whether to request a review, and it was discussed within Council at a concept forum on the 11th of March 2025. Question 4. Which York admin staff, including but not limited to anyone who might be on a varying kinds of leave, and elected members got to know about the decision on or about March the 5th and prior to the state election on March 8th. Response: the CEO was initially contacted by the DPP on the commencement of his leave on the 7th of March 2025. The CEO shared this with the Council and the Executive Support Officer and the Executive Manager Infrastructure and Development Services and the Executive Manager Corporate and Community Services, who will be dealing with this matter as an acting CEO. As officers of the PCBU, the sharing of such information would not breach the instruction of the DPP for confidentiality. And question 5, did our Shire Council elected representatives instruct Shire admin to seat for the March 5th decision to be reviewed, and if so, was the vote recorded, and if so, what was the vote? Response: the consensus of Council at the Concept Forum of the 11th of March 2025 was unanimously in favour of requesting a review. Question 6. When and what form of permission was sought from the WA Police? And once again, was this something requested by the Shire admin via our elected representatives on Council? My response: the Shire reached out to the WA Police for permission to share the discontinuation of the charges against Garrett's on Monday the 24th of March 2025. The statement was provided for them to consider. Permission was received on Monday, April 7, 2025, to share some minor adjustments. Question 7. Should the Shire elected representatives, admin and ratepayers, do you reckon it is reasonable to think that if a public announcement on the disappointing outcome of our Shire of York had been delivered during the state election campaign and so close to the day most folks cast their votes would have been foremost in the minds of many when they came to the time to pencil a ballot paper on March the 8th. The many folk who have deemed the disappointing outcome regarding the YRCRC saga yet another gross betrayal by our state government. That basically withholding the public announcement of a disappointing outcome until after the state election arguably favoured a particular political party and candidates. My response: the decision to withhold the information from the public until after the review was made by the DPC. Now, I think we've just about run out of public question time, almost. A couple more minutes. Okay. Our first question comes from Karen Thomas. Do you wish me to read this, Karen, or will you read it? Oh, right, okay. So we started at 5:14. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, Karen Thomas, President of the York Business Association. Hopefully I can have my 2 questions. Could a small amount of funds be used for some basic upgrades to the facilities at the Town Hall, which in my opinion would make the area much more user-friendly and easier to rent out? The following are needed: assorted glasses for water, soft drinks and wines. Currently there are none. Also needed some serving platters and larger dishes. In the hall itself, the movable screens are in poor condition as far as coloured and dirty marks. Could they all be repainted for better presentation when being used for exhibitions? They would be much better if they were painted black. Several of the trestles are also damaged, and there are no specific tablecloths that I'm aware of for use by hirers. They could be an addition to the hiring fee if available.
Okay, my response. The range of items are provided for use by hirers, but this is restricted to general crockery and cutlery. In regard to your specific request, please be advised that as follows. The Shire has chosen not to provide wine glasses as breakages are a major issue, and most users do not have liquor permits. Those that do are often larger events, and they bring in their own equipment. In addition to the likelihood of a dispute over breakages, the Shire does not have the storage capacity to increase the range of items, hence it is not practical for the Shire to provide them. The Shire also providing serving platters and larger dishes. As most of the dry hirers, the expectation is the hirer will provide their own equipment and that they need for their event. Similarly, the Shire will not provide tablecloths, as the recovery and laundry of these items is a further time and cost impost that the Shire does not have the resources for. Once again, in a dry hire arrangement, the expectation of the hirer should be to provide their own. By bringing in their own equipment for events, hirers are more likely to ensure the equipment is not broken or misplaced, thus removing that risk from the Shire. It's acknowledged that some of the water glasses could be useful, and the Shire will look at the provision of those small numbers, providing a small number of those in the 25-26 budget. But once again, the larger events are expected to provide their own. As for the screens, and I'll tell you, they were last painted 5 or 6 years ago when I helped out when they were putting on the Anzac Day display. The replacement of the screens and tables would need to be considered as part of the 25-26 budget discussions. However, some repairs may be achieved through an annual maintenance budget.
Thank you. My second question. Some time ago I raised the issue of the missing banners on the frames in town and was told they got damaged and are being repaired. Would a better option be to get a series of new banners made depicting the history of York, especially the town hall, and install them from the crossbars in the town hall as a permanent, informative and decorative feature? They would not be exposed to the weather, so there would not be ongoing costs once installed. I think they would also help soften the cavernous feeling of this imposing building and also help with the acoustics. When putting an exhibition together, it is difficult to get a welcoming ambience in this very large space.
Thank you. A response. The issue with the banners in Balladong and Henrietta Street has not yet been resolved. The Shire is investigating mesh banners to address wind damage issues. The time frame for this is subject to the 25-26 budget. The installation of banners in the town hall is not appropriate. For a state-registered heritage place, the installation of banners would detract from and cover up the exceptional architecture of the ceiling and hence would not be supported. There is already a suite of banners in the upstairs gallery that shares the history of the town hall. These are the pull-up banners. In addition to the heritage considerations, accessing the height of the ceiling is a challenge and requires specialist equipment, as some hirers may not want to put proposed banners in place. They would be required to remove for the particular events, which involves safety risks and increased costs. The ability for banners to address acoustics is low depending on the materiality and not considered as an effective solution.
Thank you.
That's the answer to your question. Now we have another question which has come in from Shana Hilda. Historically, the Shire of Yorkshire, when the CEO goes on leave, the Shire brings in an interim CEO. These people do relief work in shires and observe the different set of eyes to running the Shire. Why didn't this happen when the CEO, Mr. Linnell, went on leave? A response. Council Policies G4, appointment of an acting or temporary Chief Executive Officer allows for the appointment of either the incumbent executive managers to the position as the acting CEO. Council considered the appointment at its December 24 annual ordinary meeting and determined that the current acting Chief Executive, as designated senior employees, had successfully performed the role of acting Chief Executive Officer on several occasions previously and would therefore be considered appropriate and suitable to undertake the position of an acting CEO on the occasion. The Shire is fortunate to have a good depth of staff able to backfill positions. Fulfilling the role internally enables professional development opportunities for staff, showing their clear career progression side pathways are available in local government. This enhances the Shire's attractability for other candidates for other roles, increasing or showcasing the Shire of York as an employer of choice. And the last time we hired someone in was when we were looking for a new CEO. Question 2. EFT 335851 on the 5 of 3rd 25 Bellissimo, York, provided catering for extra Excel basic training at a cost of $525. Also suppliers food for councillors and admin who attend the ordinary meeting. What does this cost the ratepayer, as I have not seen any invoice for that food? My response: councillors and executive staff are provided a meal following the ordinary council meeting. This has been a historical practice over many years. Catering may also be provided to staff and visiting participants in workshops, training sessions and regional meetings and forums held throughout the year. This particular occasion you're referring to included morning tea, afternoon tea and lunch for approximately 30 to 35 people. The 24-26 budget included an allocation of approximately $14,000 for refreshments and receptions for the provisions of such. Invoices and payments made to local businesses for this purpose are detailed in the creditor's payment listing where applicable for that month.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes.
Is that a correct date? The 25-26 budget has not been done. Should that be 24-25? Sorry.
In the budget. Okay. That was in also in the 24-25 budget, yeah. Okay. Anyone else, any questions they want to ask?
Yes. Is that time?
Well, I believe we've got some few moments. Karen?
Okay. It's a bit dark here. Regarding the engagement of 2 transgender people at the Access and Inclusion event, this was forced on the public with no warning. Children may have been attending. Was this put out Was this put to our councillors for a vote to engage the transgender people, and what has it cost the ratepayers?
Okay. It is possible to have a poster at each poster of each month's York events put up at the CRC and Co-op windows, along with. No, hang on. That's another.
That's another question.
Okay. No answers. So, but the council would engage people, regardless of their gender, because we're an all-inclusive society. Your next question?
Is it possible to have a poster each month of York events to be put up in the CRC and the Co-op window, along with small pamphlets for people to take who have no access to the internet or local paper?
I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you. Through the Chair. Yes, it's possible to do that. They are all readily available now through our visitor centre, which is the mechanism where we advertise all events. So you can certainly do that straight away. We would need to seek permission from the Co-op, but we could certainly put a poster up of events at the CRC, yes.
And our next question, Diane Buckley, please. How's our time going?
Okay, I understand Council has appointed a debt collection agency for overdue rates surrounding Settlers House, but would like to know how or why this was allowed to get to where we have over $886,000 that is overdue by 3 years. How much is it going to cost ratepayers to retrieve this money through the courts?
CEO, would you like to answer that, or does it require some research?
So that was substantially answered at our last council meeting. We are unsure at this point how much it is going to cost ratepayers. We are finalising a proposal with McLeod's lawyers. That said, any funds that we spend on the recovery of the Settlers House debts, actually we recoup through the sale of the properties or another mechanism. So when we know more, we'll be presenting that to council. So items like that come to council for a resolution to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, second question. On taking interstate visitors to Wombegowan Park, we discovered there is no access for the public to use the boardwalk to the gazebo lookout in the river. It is closed to the public due to lack of maintenance. The lookout is a major attraction, so when will the public have access to the boardwalk again? And there's a following question. Why did it cost $13,000 to install new stainless steel barbecue into the existing fittings with a gas operating system at the park? So there's two questions about the park there.
Okay. Well, in terms of maintenance or replacement or removal of the boardwalk, that will be considered in the for the budget coming up. And as for the cost, $13,191.75 to install 2 barbecues, CEO, you might like to answer that one?
Sorry, we'd have to take that one notice. Don't have the detail here today.
Okay, thank you.
Now, someone else has a question down the back? Okay. You just let us know your name. We don't need to know your address, Simon.
Thank you, Mr. President, councillors. My name's Brian Humphreys. And before you ask, am I related to other Humphreys in the Shire of York, I'm not related. My wife and I have only been here for 2 years from the Great Southern. I have a question, Mr. President, in regard to the matter of the petition that was presented to Council at the last meeting. I would like to ask if it were possible tonight for Council to consider giving me the go-ahead to prepare a draft policy for the Shire administration to consider, and then maybe bring that to Council instead of proceeding with the bylaw as the petition suggested.
Okay. Well, I can't answer that. It's something for the administration. So if the acting CEO can...
Thank you, through the Chair. I understand that you have already been working with the team to discuss this, and the recommendation has been that a policy would be put forward to Council. So, yes, we would be happy for you to continue to work with the staff to develop that, and that will be the intention, I understand, is that will be brought to Council at its June meeting for consideration.
Okay. Thank
and
you
then,
very
of
much.
course, it's going to go out for the public comment. It won't happen straight away.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any further public questions? If that's the case, I'll close public question time at 5:30 p.m. Thank you to the public for the way we handled all that. Applications for leave of absence, nil. Petitions, nil. Presentations, nil. Deputations, nil. Delegates report. Councillor Smythe has submitted a report on her activities. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of the meeting held on 22nd of April to be confirmed as the correct record of the proceedings. Somebody move.
So moved, Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Thank you. It's carried 4-0. Announcements from myself. They're there. Our first piece of business, SY 048 0525, operational management of the York Recreation and Convention Centre.
Excuse me, Mr. President, it is SY 049.
049, sorry. We have a recommendation there. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Gibbs.
Councillor Gibbs speaking, thank you. As part of the recommendation, item 1C, permitted purpose to be used for bar and function services for the York community in line with the current approved liquor licence and lease agreement. It's excellent that we now have a club licence in place because, as most people would know, it's been operating under protection order. And we know from reports from the bowling club that they've been kicking some goals regarding supporting community events, bookings, etc., etc. The question is, as this moves forward, in what ways does the lease and the agreement with the bowling club intend on supporting wider elements of the community rather than the clubs themselves? In other words, if you're a member of the public and you want to attend, how are we going to be rolling that out?
The Acting CEO, you respond.
Yes, thank you through the chair. We worked very closely with the club to set up their constitution so that they had mechanisms to allow people to attend even under the club licence. So it would be up to them to advertise the availability of that, but very definitely there is mechanisms where people can attend. So, for example, they would need, as under a club licence, you need to be a club member to actually attend the facility, but there is a very minimal charge that people could pay to do that, and then they have the option as a member to bring, I believe it's up to 5 guests with them, so that we've already established a way in which the public can attend. And I agree that I understand that there are quite a few community members that are really looking forward to going back for meals at the rec centre, so we will work with the bowling club to start advertising that soon.
Thank you.
And ultimately, we're hoping to have a management committee which involves all sporting clubs, but we're working towards that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? No? Councillor Smythe, you're moving?
I have a question.
A question?
Yeah, I have a question. What are the minimum operating hours? Because how does the public know that they can go there for a meal on a Friday night or a Saturday night?
CEO?
So we spoke about that at agenda briefing, if you remember. So there are no minimum operating hours provided to the Shire at this point. They have been working with the club specifically on fixtures, but that does tend to involve the usual Friday and Sunday night. But we will ask them to advertise those to the community. I think that most people wanting to know now.
Any further questions? Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. President. That's regarding point 4. Request the CEO to include an amount of $5,000 per month for salary support in the 25-26 budget process, subject to signing the lease. Has there been any discussion regarding the expectation for that to maintain in subsequent budget years.
CEO?
Yes, so the Bowling Club have indicated they do need support into next year. They are expecting they'll be able to be fully self-sufficient within a 2-year period, so there would be a reducing amount going forward. But every year they would have to apply to the Shire for that support, and they have to report and provide evidence as their use of that as well. And they also have to provide the financial details confidentially to Council, so you'll be able to see the progress of that as they go. Should they not need it into the year after, they won't request it.
Any further questions on this? Very well. I'm prepared to have someone move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe is happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. This will be a tremendous thing happening in our community. SY 050 of 0525, the renewal of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Shire of York and the University of Western Australia. We have a recommendation there. Anyone have any questions? No questions? Then if someone move.
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Councillor Gibbs, seconded.
Councillor Warnick,
Councillor
seconds.
Warnick seconds. I'll put the motion. All in favour? That's carried 4-0. Now we'll go to our next item, SY 051 of 0525, 2025 Local Government Ordinary Election, coming up in October. We have a recommendation from the staff.
Councillor Warnick moves the motion.
Councillor Warnick moves.
Sorry, I have questions.
Oh, you have a question. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbs speaking. I just had one question because we have 3 spaces that are up for election, and due to the vacancy of Councillor Adamini, we have an additional one up. I just wanted to confirm, does that mean the way this would play out is that the 3 people who receive the highest amount of votes would get a 4-year term, and the person who comes in 4th position would get the remainder 2-year term?
CEO, can you answer that? I believe, yeah, you're right.
I concur. I believe you're also right. My understanding is exactly the same.
Thank you.
However, it is an opportunity for someone wanting to be on council just to find out what it's all about, to have a 2-year experience. But obviously there's no guarantee that they would not be in the top 3. Okay. Anyone, any further questions? Now we had a mover from Councillor
Warnick moves.
Councillor Gibbs second.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. Put that recommendation. All in favour? That's carried 4-0. Thank you. An opportunity for members in the public to stand for election. FY 052 of 0525, a report on council attendance at Walga's Great Eastern Country Zone Forum and Aboriginal Engagement Forum. My reports are there, and I'll see if anyone's got any questions. No queries, and we'll ask for a mover and a seconder.
Councillor Smythe's happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Now I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? It's carried. A good read if you've got nothing to do on one dark night. Councillor, next recommendation, SY 053 0525, Policy Review, G1 Record Keeping. Anyone have any questions on this recommendation? Councillor Gibbs?
Councillor Gibbs speaking. Clarification, just thanking the administration for the extra work done on this to bring it back.
Thank you. Anyone want to move the recommendation?
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Councillor Warnick seconds.
Councillor Warnick seconds. Anyone want to speak against it? Then I'll put the vote. All in favour? It's carried 4-0. Thank you, councillors. Our next item is SY 054 of 0525, Policy Review, G6, Community Access to Information. We have a recommendation there. Does anyone wish to query the recommendation? Or yes, Councillor Gibbs.
Councillor Gibbs, again, thank you to the administration for the considerable extra information in bringing this one back. Just because I was a person who drove that a little bit, confirming that I personally am satisfied that all of the material is in fact contained in other policies and procedures.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, any further questions, queries? No? Then I'll get someone to move and second.
Councillor Smythe's happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. I'll put that to the vote then. All in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's carried 4-0. Unanimous. Thank you. Move on to SY 055 of 0525, the financial report of April 2025. There's a recommendation there. Any councillors have any questions or queries about the recommendation? No. Therefore, I will seek a mover and a seconder.
Councillor Smythe's happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe's moving.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs is seconding. I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? 4-0. Thank you, councillors. And we now go to our investments. SY 056 of 0525, investments for April 2025. There's a recommendation there. And we note the portfolio as presented in Appendix 1. Somebody...
Councillor Warnick moves.
Any questions? No?
Councillor Warnick moves.
Councillor Smythe will second.
Smythe seconds. Anyone wish to speak against the recommendation? And I will put the motion. All in favour? That's carried 4-0. Our next item is motions for which previous notice has been given. There are nil. Questions from members without notice. Anyone have any questions they want to put to the council? No. Business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. We have nil. And we'll close the meeting. There's no matters we're going to discuss behind closed doors. Therefore, I will close the meeting at 5:43. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, councillors and staff.